So, welcome everyone. We are here today talking about Project Downfall with Mike from the developer of Project Downfall. Welcome.
Hello, nice to meet you.
So, we start directly here because why not? So, tell us who are you and what do you do on Project Downfall?
Right, so yeah, I'm Mike. I'm the designer of Project Downfall together with the programmer David. We've been working on the game for 4 years, so it's practically that he's doing everything else. He's doing the programming, I'm doing everything else besides the programming. So, and hopefully, we are aiming for 1.0 by around, I don't know, I'm not spoiling the exact date, but pretty soon.
Soon TM, okay. And is Project Downfall your first game, or do you have any other previous game that you work on?
Well, actually, Project Downfall is my third game. My first game is actually the game which shares the very same lore. It's called Sinless. It's a cyberpunk point-and-click, like a hybrid with adventure elements. And also, after that, I just made a very simple casual game called Rolled. Typical mobile game, very, very short dev time. And after that, I made a rather ambitious action RPG brawler we're called Santa's the Soul, but sadly that one is caught in... Well, sadly it is unreleased, and that's... so this is a... Well, unfortunately I can't get into this due to the NDA, but yeah, that's a long story.
Mm-hmm. So how Project Downfall starts? How you set you come down one day and you say, I want to make Project Downfall?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I had a lot of ideas when I was in university, when I was in my 20s, but I didn't think about game dev seriously over then, so I just noted down a lot of ideas. And one of those ideas was about a regular guy who goes, who just can't take the everyday stress and just one day snaps. This was inspired by the movie with Michael Douglas,
Yes.
Falling Down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that movie. That's such a good movie. And but after I got into game dev, I just finally, I finished my last project, Santa's the Soul, and I really wanted to start working on that game, on the game about the guy who snapped. And I had a lot of other ideas for other games, so I started incorporating them into Project Downfall. And I also was really, really inspired by, I loved the first John Wick and Hardcore Henry, so I wanted to incorporate that. And I didn't want to make the game like a typical shooter. I wanted to make it more visceral and just not to play like a typical FPS. And so that was like the idea. I mean, I just loved how the action was presented in Hardcore Henry. So if you notice the way he was holding the gun in the movie,
Yes.
it's not realistic at all, but it just looked so cool. So that was the idea of Project Downfall. Short, intense encounters.
And that is from the outside of video games, but for example, from video games, you also have clear reference, for example, from Hotline Miami.
Oh, certainly, yes. Hotline Miami, Condemned, actually quite a lot of games. Even like this old game on this old Doom engine, Strife. So there was also an open hub, and some seemingly obscure choices can completely change how the game would progress. And well, obviously Dark Souls and all the From Software games, because the things I really appreciate about those games is the lack of hand-holding. You live with your decisions. You can do whatever you want, but you have to live with your decisions. You want to kill this blacksmith? Go ahead, but you won't be able to upgrade your weapons. So it's not like Skyrim where you just can't kill certain characters. You can do everything you want, but you have to live with your choices. And those choices will ultimately lead to one of the 12 endings. And so, but yeah, Hotline Miami, I mean, I loved the 80s synthwave style. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so it's just like, it's like a going back in time. So, and that's also why I really loved that Netflix movie Bandersnatch. The way they captured the 80s in that was perfect, because actually, like I said, I grew up in England in the 80s, so the way they recreated the UK in the 80s was absolutely top notch.
They nailed it. So the only thing that I think that can make a bit different Project Downfall for the people is that if they enter and play the game, maybe they will lose a lot of details, a lot of things that are in the game. You as developer, you know it because you obviously know that maybe people can lose a lot of details of the game. How you face that problem?
Well, yeah, that's actually a tough one. So when we actually released the game in the initial phase, there was absolutely no tutorial. To be honest, I hate tutorials because I think they slow down the game. I think Dark Souls does this also perfectly. You just get a small info, and then you can do whatever you want. But actually, this kicked us in the ass because nobody was using the game mechanics, and the initial players on Steam, they were playing the game like a Doom game, which obviously is not a good idea. So they would get frustrated and die very quickly. They were not using the pills, they were not using the super kick or the specific game mechanics. So due to this, we added the tutorial in the subway. It's not something I wanted to do, but we just had to do it because we noticed after adding this that suddenly players started using the super kick and started using the pills. But still, despite this, we still see a lot of people finishing the tutorial and then completely forgetting about the super kick and using the pills. So actually recently, about I think in the last update, we added that after you die in the first 5-6 levels, if you die more than 3 or 4 times in a level, you will get a hint reminding you about the super kick, reminding you about the pills, and just the basic game mechanics. Because as you obviously know, if you play the game like Doom, you're going to die very quickly and you're going to get very angry.
But there are a lot of things in the game. The combat seems quite simple, but as you start playing with it and you start combining the pills and the slice and the super kick, it gets more and more deep. You realize that most of the people they won't find all the details, and they won't be able to see everything of the game, all the combat systems, all.
Well, yes, that's also true because, like I said, I don't like things I really don't like about games is pausing the game, explaining how to play because it breaks the flow, or like despite really liking Assassin's Creed 2, the thing I didn't like about the game is that the 50% of the game was a tutorial.
Yeah.
And you kept learning new mechanics up until very late in the game. And so I would prefer to give the players freedom from the start. So, well, the things they unlock are the pills and new weapons, but the basic combat mechanics are from the get-go. So in this case, we added this... you probably noticed there's this console in the apartment of the player, where you can play mini games.
Yes.
And we also recently updated this with this self-defense mini game, and this is a bit like the Dark Souls tutorial. So you'll just have a lot of boxes, like these info boxes, where you will just learn all the mechanics. And we also added that you can spawn an aggressive enemy or non-aggressive enemy, so you can test the super kick, or you can test dodging bullets, and also doing environmental kills.
But it is like Dark Souls because if you don't see it, you can skip it very easily. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Actually, I don't know about. I recently, when Elden Ring came out, I completely missed the tutorial in that game.
Yeah, because and it's the same because it is in one corner of the tutorial.
I thought it was a boss, so I said, okay, I'm not going to a boss, I'm too low level, so I exited, and then I just didn't, and I was like, okay, when am I going to learn the game's mechanics? But that's what I love about From Software games. You get freedom from the very beginning, and it's, yeah, so that's what I loved about Dark Souls 1. You would talk with people about their experience and how they finished the game, and people would finish it in very, very different ways. So this is what I really loved about those games. But yeah, tutorial in the Elden Ring was a funny one.
But not only the gameplay, also the ways to go through the story on Project Downfall has a lot of branches, and the ways to go through those branches are also not so clear. So that is why I am afraid that maybe a lot of people can lose a lot of good details that are in different branches, and you don't have that fear. I mean, or you are totally okay that people can go only through the more simple playthrough, that is going down, take the car, and go to the next mission.
Well, yes, obviously, there's something we actually completely just have to live with, that the game is going to be controversial in this regard. It's not going to be for everyone. So if we wanted to make a game for everyone, we would just make a simple linear game going from point A to B, no branching paths, nothing to miss out. But this is not the game I wanted to do. I wanted to make a unique experience, a game that would stand out from the crowd. So again, so if you... There's a lot of environmental storytelling. So, for example, you can get this actually goes back to the first game I mentioned, Sinless, where reading comprehension is very important. So you can discover some secrets if you just read and understand and just take out your own conclusions. The things I don't like in modern games is that a lot of times those games think for you and tell you exactly what you need to do. Like, for example, there was this funny video or like screenshot showing Elden Ring if it was made by Ubisoft.
Yes.
So, yeah, exactly. So this is the thing I would prefer to avoid. I keep hearing from people, just make it more obvious where the secrets are. Make it more obvious where I need to go. That's not the goal. This is not the point of the game.
It's not the point, yeah.
Exactly. So we just have to live. We won't be able to please everyone. So this game. So same with Silent Hill 2. When you made a critical decision in Silent Hill 2, you didn't get any like any visual feedback or anything, and that was the highlight of the game, and it would completely change if you get like a gold ping or something like that.
But at the same point.
No, exactly. So, but well, obviously, unfortunately, due to the time constraints, I didn't add everything I wanted to. So some plot lines and some additional features will be more obscure than actually they should be. But nonetheless, the major details are in the world. So, for example, if you get a certain information about a certain place where you can meet someone, you'll have to look like in Dark Souls. You can look around the world and you can see, like, I don't know, a palace in the background, right? So here's a similar part. You will learn that you can meet someone in a specific place.
Yes.
And if you look around the map in the Freedom Hub and you go to that place, that you will get an optional route. So that is just one of the many, many examples, because the branching plot line goes in some very wild and different directions.
Yeah, and you can go unlocking different paths, but I think that at the same point, it is very rewarding because, for example, I don't want to spoil it, but let's say that your girlfriend that is in your apartment, that maybe a lot of people can lose all that story part completely, depending what you do, they will tell you, yes, I left you something in the fridge, and you go to the fridge and you get a little surprise. So exactly. All these things, I think that are more rewarding for the player than just getting an achievement of, oh yeah, you made it. So that is why I think that it is so different, but it is so special the way that you are making this game, and the way you are accepting that a lot of people maybe don't get it, but those that get it would feel more rewarded than normally.
Yeah, thanks for noticing that. Well, yeah, that was the point. So that's one of the things I liked when people would be discussing the game, and they would be discussing a certain event, and it would turn out that they would have completely different outcomes. So this is what I love about games, that that they surprise people. They are just it's not cookie cutter, and just the same thing over and over. So as you mentioned with the example with the fridge, or an example could be with another route or meeting a certain NPC. For example, one person would go and say, I met this NPC over here and he said this, and another player would say, well, wait a minute, I met him, but he said something completely different. So, and I said had something completely different happen. So another simple example would be a very, one of the early game examples where you meet Olgierd in the bar.
Yes.
So if you take too much drugs up until that moment, you will puke all over his bar, and he will kick you out. If you kill him before entering the bar, you will answer the phone. If he was smart, will call and getting worried about him. If you didn't take a lot of pills, you will just he will order you a cab. And but if you went completely mad and killed practically everyone until that point, you will have some pretty intense, pretty strange hallucinations.
Yeah, hallucinations are another point of the game where, for example, when you see certain characters. But to this point, what is the feature of the game that you are most proud of?
Well, the branching paths and how the storyline, it might not seem. Actually, this was pretty difficult to do and to tie it all up, and so it's relatively bug-free. So I'm pretty happy with this, and with the audio-visual composition and how the game presents. Because I mean, the idea of the audio-visual style was, because the world is not the law is it's not a nice place. See, the idea would be to make the graphics more crusty and just like the characters like deliberately ugly and unattractive, just to emphasize the ugliness of this world. And
if you want, we can see a bit of the world of the gameplay, so people can understand what you mean about. So we go here. And we shall be seeing now. Yeah, we are seeing it now. So we see here how it is, the gameplay.
Yep, that's I think Synth did this one. Yeah, one of the star players of the community. The combos he pulls off on Nightmare is absolutely mind-boggling sometimes. He makes Nightmare look easy.
And it's done. So, the visual aspect is another aspect that is very remarkable on Project Downfall. How do you think, thought that that will be the visual aspect? Why did you choose exactly this type of visual aspect?
Well, as mentioned, there are a few reasons. So first of all, low res means I can go more crazy with the post effects and lighting. Well, because obviously it's less resource heavy. So this means I really love contrasts and playing with colors. So, and also one of my favorite scenes in John Wick was the scene in the red club, the red circle club, the contrasts over there. So this was the idea of the visual presentation, and also the idea was to have so since you are using low res, and we can go crazy with more effects. So, like for example, the sprites, as you noticed, they are ragdoll. We have physics like that; they were 3D. Then we have a rather advanced gore destruction model, and I don't think another game with 2D has such a gore model like Project Downfall currently. As in like seeing shoot through holes in the exact point. And also another aspect which I forgot to mention, which I'm pretty proud of, is how the dynamic music turned out. Because this was also designed from the scratch. One of the first things when I was pitching the game was that the game is going to have a dynamic soundtrack. There's no other way it's going to be made. So the game, as you noticed, the music changes depending on what is happening on screen.
Yeah, it is. It fits very well the pace of the game. The parts where you are more calm and you are just exploring the map, and the parts where, for example, let's put this. The disco party is awesome.
Thanks a lot. Well, actually, slight spoiler. I think then you will be very happy with the Realms Deep update.
Oh, great! Yeah, because that is another point. This Friday it's Realms Deep. We have here. You have shown that we will see from Project Downfall special content, brand new trailer, and something new.
Yep. Yeah, we got quite some stuff. I'm not spoiling everything, but there's going to be a special level for Realms Deep, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. and I also as we started work, another musician contributed to the soundtrack, and he added his track is going. Yeah, it's different than the stuff that is usually in the game because it's well, I don't want to spoil it, so let's keep it a surprise.
Okay. I just had to ask it because it was very intriguing. So, let's say that there is someone that has never seen Project Downfall and has never seen anything about it. How you will sell it the game?
Oh man, okay, that's not that easy. So, well, obviously, the easiest way would be the way most people say it: first-person Hotline Miami. That's the easiest way to describe it in one sentence. But well, the game, to be honest, I'm not too fond of that comparison because the game is actually aiming to be its own thing. Obviously, Hotline Miami was one of the inspirations, but like I said, it's the one other way to describe it would be just a game about a guy. Well, yeah, I mean, I just can't describe it shortly. So it's a game set in the near-distant future where you are just a corporate worker, and the next how your decisions and what you do will decide how your how your route and your journey will progress, ultimately leading to one of the 12 endings, depending on your sanity. And the action plays out more like a fast-paced puzzle with lethal consequences. The game is not a typical shooter. It's more like a unique adventure action hybrid with some minor RPG elements.
And you talk about some references like the Michael Douglas movie and all, but there is another reference. Wait a moment, I'm looking for it because this one no. I'm looking it. I will find it. Yeah, this one.
Yep.
Yeah, we have to talk about Dredd.
Exactly. I love that movie. Carl Urban nailed it as Dredd. And when I saw the minigun scene in the movie, I said that is... so that's another thing. When I saw the minigun scene in the Dredd movie, I knew that I have to put it in the game.
But maybe we can say that a lot of people say, yeah, it is like Hotline Miami, but it's just like being in Dredd more than like in Hotline Miami universe, because the violence, the moves, the drugs, I think that it's more closer even to Dredd than to Hotline Miami. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially in this level, considering you know in the Dredd movie they had the slow-mo drug, and you know that made the colors brighter. They had the stairwell with the miniguns. Well, they didn't have neo-Nazi skinheads, but yeah.
We can have everything from Dredd. Other way we will have Dredd.
Well, actually, speaking of those guys, actually this is like real-life experiences. I mean, most of the enemies that are in game, they're just usually people some unpleasant encounters I had in my life, so it's usually based on that.
Are you saying that you are like Peter Molinet? That he said that he made Syndicate because he was bored and he was angry when he went to the supermarket and just made a game about killing everyone in the supermarket?
Oh man, well, you could say something like that. I mean, the basic thugs that are in the game, they are just like in the 90s, there was a subculture of thugs in Poland, which we would call dresiarze, just thugs dressed in tracksuits. Yeah, and I got mugged by them a few times, and the same goes for skinheads, I also didn't have a few unpleasant encounters in my life. So yeah, there's something to that, definitely.
So also Peter Molinet is closer to Project Downfall than we thought. Okay, so I think that we have covered more or less everything that comes to the game. Any last word that you want to say to the Project Downfall fans?
Well, to the Project Downfall fans and community, well, first of all, I have to thank our community because all of them rock. I mean, thanks to them, the game has improved immensely. We wouldn't have been able to improve the game so much as it did up until this point. And to other fans, get ready because we're getting really something really cool up for Realms Deep, and I hope you all enjoy it.
So thank you for coming by. Everyone can find Project Downfall on Steam, and we will see more about it on Realms Deep. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Chris.